Boy, I forget to unmute that mic every friggin' week.
Hey, is your camera on?
Yeah, my camera's on.
I don't see you guys.
Yeah, you won't. Let me see if I can fix this. You see that now, Corey?
I see your screen, yeah.
Let's do this. Okay, well, now that we've got through our technical difficulties, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sphons CCW Live Show. We got some stuff here for you tonight. First up is the schedule. Events are pretty much on hold down to the club. 5-3 concealed carry class has room. 5-16 concealed carry class has room. 5-9 and 10 is defensive pistol. That's a 2-day class. 5-30 is basic rifle and carbine. 6-14 is a concealed carry class. 7-11 personal protection in the home. If you are a little bit more advanced shooter and you want to take something that is a little more advanced than your basic concealed carry class, then you can do so in that class. And then 7-12 is personal protection in the home instructor. So if you're currently a certified pistol instructor and you want to do personal protection in the home, then that is where you take your next step into some defensive pistol skills and how to teach those. So that's our upcoming schedule. We got a carry and range tip.
Yeah.
What do we got here?
Off positions. When you, of course, shortage of ammunition is cutting everybody's range time and the amount of rounds they want to shoot down range. It's a good idea to carry or to practice offhand positions, one hand. You never know when, if you, God forbid, have to use your gun, you might be wounded in one hand or the other. So you're going to want to practice stuff like that. It wouldn't even hurt to practice sitting to standing, draw when you get up. If you're in a restaurant or even at home, you want to, somebody breaks in the door or something and you're sitting in a chair, you're not going to want to try to draw that gun out while you're sitting down if you don't have to, So you want to practice standing up and drawing, in a reasonable amount of time. And but the offhand one, that one is really throws a curve at everybody.
Sure does.
Just because
Yes, it does.
you don't it's completely foreign to everybody. And
Sure.
if you get that down pat, you're really doing well. And
Well, even that offhand with just offhand, even the one-handed and kind of just different body positions.
yeah,
There's a lot that's going on to that, and that could be, practicing that is going to be advantageous for you because you might be dictated to that position and to maybe coming around something on the off side, maybe around the left side or even one-handed on the right side to, maintain cover for yourself. And that could all be based on your cover. That could be dictated by the piece of cover that you have now found yourself into.
certainly.
So, being able to do that and have that not be completely foreign to you.
Yeah, you may not be always able to pick your cover. Certainly.
No,
So,
it might be a low curve or a Jersey barrier that, you got to get down and, down
Sure.
low and offhand.
Sure.
I guess one point I want to bring up is you don't need ammunition to do this.
Oh, no.
You absolutely can do this stuff in a dry fire scenario.
Yeah, sure can.
And you absolutely should be doing it to start out with in a dry fire scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
you start out offhand, sitting, standing, laying down, supine, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to start that in a dry situation, and that gives you the safety margin to get it figured out. I mean, anything new, you're going to have a higher probability of making a mistake with something.
Yeah.
You're going to get a shirt caught.
Well, even the height overboard that you see a lot of, if you do a lot of shooting
Right.
with people, with barriers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You see a lot of, especially new people, they clip a barrier, especially
Absolutely.
they're stood off from that barrier to gain that that field of view and not be sucked up, tied up against it. And they come out, they got their sights, they see their target, and boom! Next thing you know, you got toothpicks flying because they caught the edge of the barrier.
Absolutely.
Which, with a wooden barrier down at the range, is
okay.
a learning experience of, hey, you caught the barrier, but if
concrete,
if it's that jersey barrier that you're hiding behind, now you've just created a massive amount of spall back into you and could potentially injure you and take you out of the fight just because that's something you didn't learn to do.
On top of that, you missed your shot.
Yeah, you missed your shot.
You
You
missed
lost
your
your
shot.
surprise. You lost your initiative. You lost all of those things that were going for you.
I mean,
Boom.
how many times have we seen people drop a loaded pistol in a competition?
Yeah.
In a cover garment scenario, or it really screws up their draw stroke, or they go for a magazine and they got a hold of their shirt too. I mean, it's happened to everybody. Happens to all of us. So that's the kind of stuff that needs to be worked out before you get live ammunition.
Well, especially when you get into you start, that stuff happens, during the good times when you're at the range or you're at a competition. Competition. You're always trying to beat the other guy and get bragging rights with your buddies and stuff like that. So you got a little bit at stake there. But when you start getting into offhand and real life situations, that's when them things that go downhill of, well, if I do catch I catch my shirt while going for a magazine.
Can you get it corrected?
Can I get that corrected? What do I need to do now? Okay, I did, I've done this while I was doing my training. I knew, ooh, crap, I did this. Well, I got to get down, get back behind my cover, or stay behind my cover and figure this out. Maybe, pick my head up and just kind of work through getting it out of the T-shirt.
Something.
Yeah, and the worst part about that, and one of the worst parts about that, is you can affect a lot of that by putting a different shirt on one day,
Yeah.
And this shirt, it doesn't work real well.
Yeah.
So, and
well, that kind of leads right into the carry tips you got with the weather changes. For Pete's sake, it was 72 degrees 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And we got up to snow this morning.
Right.
I mean, fully versed in your carry modes, what your gear is, what clothing you're doing,
what gun you have.
One of the big things we try and really get on people is stop buying guns of different types, actions, and buy some ammunition and get good with at least one of them.
Yeah.
You got guys who, they're always talking about their carry rotation. Well, unfortunately, the truth is your carry rotation might get you seriously injured.
Well, and
if you're not as good with the last gun in your rotation as you are the first one.
Well, and I know I have as far as me personally, my carry rotation, I'm an M&P, I'm an M&P guy, and all my M&Ps, they're all set up the same. They're all they're all identical. The ones that I'm going to carry, they're all identical. They got the same sights on them, the same, for the most, pretty much the same triggers, the same everything.
Yeah.
Now
my XDs are the same.
Now I take, if I decide I'm going to carry my 1911, when I make that decision of I think I'm going to carry my 1911 for a while, I spend hours running through dry practice.
Yep.
Hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of running through dry practice, and then a couple of trips to the range, and then some more dry practice, and then I'll carry it because it's
a whole different
it's got
animal.
and the thing is it's got one thing different. It's got a mechanical safety.
Yeah. Yep.
But
right,
getting that now, when I do decide to carry my 1911, I'll carry it for a long time because it takes so much time to get myself ingrained into carrying that. Now, going back to the other guns with no mechanical safeties, I can go right into those because even if I go for it.
Yeah, you
coming out of the holster
so much.
And even if I peel my thumb up there and click it off like I would my 1911, it's
of no consequence.
It's of no consequence. But the 1911 not coming up and clicking that off,
sure,
it's complete
and
consequence.
the two I carry, all the time, are my M&P full size and my Ruger full size. They're enough similar in trigger pull, sight alignment, sight picture, and everything. I had no problem with either one, and that makes a big difference. So
yeah, So I guess we're really going back to know your gear, train with your gear, make sure you're proficient with your gear, and take at least one of your so-called carry rotation or whatever you're doing, and make sure you're very proficient with that particular setup.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's kind of why I got this other holster tonight, because I'm going to go back to something with a lock.
Yeah.
And
similar to what you were used to.
Similar to what I'm used to, where this one doesn't fit in my Serpa. Okay, so I got this one where it does fit.
Right.
So I can use that. So.
All right, so a little update on the store. Stock is coming back a little more slowly than we would like, but we're getting there. I think we're set up pretty well.
Yeah,
we're missing
a few holes in the shelving, but
pretty thin on 5.56 223 right now. We did get a little bit in today. No 9mm jacketed hollow points. Been beating the bushes for those for a couple weeks. Trying to get some of those, but we're set up on. We got some 380 stuff. We got some 45 stuff. We got some 40 stuff.
Yeah.
22. We're well stocked on 22.
Yeah, AR mags were virtually out.
Yeah, virtually out. We can get more of those though, so we're going to get a bunch more of those. A little different brands in some stuff, a little different pricing. The stuff that was left over was kind of the higher price stuff before the panic buy, so we got a little bit of that in. Trying to mix it in with some more of the budget stuff, so you get a good mix of what you want to purchase. Some of the 380s are in 50 count boxes, so they're a little more pricey than you're used to seeing. But there's 50 in the box, so
hundreds of them.
Well, I'm saying jacketed hollow points.
Oh, jacketed hollow points, yeah.
Yeah, normally they come in 20 and 25.
Right.
And then there's 100 count boxes of stuff.
200 count boxes of stuff.
200 count
45,
boxes.
200 counters. Stuff.
250s and 40.
Just trying to find anything that's available that's not absolutely unreasonable, and just trying to keep our prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to stay cost per round similar to what we had before. It may be more expensive, but the cost per round
us
is the same.
us as a a retail dealer trying not to
gouge everybody.
Well, we're trying not to gouge everybody, but we're trying as much as we can to not buy from our wholesalers and to bring it up to them when we think that they're gouging us.
Yeah.
Because we have to pass. If they're gouging us, we have to pass it on, and we don't like being gouged, and we know that you as consumers don't like being gouged, and when they gouge us on stuff, it just brings back that that 08 Obama era crap that we just we're trying to avoid as much as we possibly can, and as much effect as we have on it. So
we're just as cheap as you guys are. So
and when a wholesaler starts charging retail prices for it, okay, we'll just wait a little bit.
Yeah.
come back. You're
Or-
going to pay the price eventually.
Yeah, we'll buy from somebody else and
Yeah.
not pay them their money.
Yep.
So that's
Anyway.
pretty good. A little ill prepared with the video tonight. I do have a video. Comes from CBS News. Let me see if I can find it here. Right, here we go. All right, I'm going to get rid of our mugs here for a sec, and we'll watch this. Now, this little backstory behind this, real quick. I'll try and bring this down to a decent level here, so maybe everybody can see it. So, backstory behind this one. This is a road rage incident, and a fight ensues between several parties here. So try and get this to the all right. I think that's pretty good. So anyway, road rage incident. The guy that you're going to see right here, you can kind of see a shadow here. Looks like he's kind of ill prepared. Maybe the cause of the road rage incident, we don't know. We don't have a lot of backstory behind this, but we know this is a fight between cars. And you're going to see that he's, getting in the face of these two other guys. Now, right at this point in time, right here, this is a pretty good scenario. It's 2-on-1. He has got the right to use force in defense of himself because there's two guys. One guy's holding him. The problem that he's running into is it looks like he was over there and started the fight. So he should have retreated from it. And the situation is going to get worse here shortly. So he goes down and these two guys back off. And I don't know who this woman is, but he pulls his firearm.
Oof.
Now, that's entirely bad news. Now, he does back away from it, but he absolutely should not have pulled that firearm.
He threw the first punch right there.
Yeah, and it looks like he threw the first punch, and he took a whooping for it. So, with a lot of new gun owners that we've got out and about in the last 30 days, it is really important that you understand the laws behind defending yourself and what your rights and responsibilities are. This guy was totally in the wrong. Even though he took a beating from two different guys, it didn't rise to the level of deadly force, and he did not retreat from the fight. He started the fight, it looks like in this video, so he literally had no right to draw his firearm on these two other guys.
Well, and we've said this, I don't know, time and time again on this show and on videos and in classes and everything like that, is when the gun comes out of the safe, the attitude goes in.
Yes.
Right.
Road rage, people, and we're seeing some more and more of this. People, road rage. I don't know if it's just
Because people
some of they're not putting that attitude, in the safe, and now it sometimes seems like they think they got a little bit more of one. And if somebody cuts you off, I've been frustrated while driving too. There isn't a person on the planet that spent any time on the road that isn't shook their head or just wow, what is going on, or even been angry at people for doing things. It's just you need to everybody needs to calm down with that and say, back away, let it go.
It should have. We don't know if these two young guys cut him off. Looks like the one vehicle was in front of the other one. Somebody cuts you off, put it in reverse and go the other direction. The best kind of gunfight is one that you never get in at all. So
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah, 'cause, you know, in that case, you don't know whether them two other guys who beat the hell out of that guy had a gun in the car.
no.
He walks up there and pulls his. They could have pulled one out and
Well, in all
Yeah.
reality, the fight ensued, right? And it looks like, both parties had at least a little bit of culpability there. But when he
Sure.
pulled his firearm, the expected response is for somebody to return fire. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Especially
and
on
that's the thing,
especially on the party where
where you started.
you didn't start it and you got attacked.
Yeah.
so I mean,
Exactly.
I guess that just goes back to never underestimate your fellow man as far as that goes. So,
Sure. You know,
um,
you make that mistake, then there's a good chance you're going to draw fire on yourself.
absolutely. So, in any event, attitude in, everybody calm down, take a few steps back, and leave it be for a while.
Yeah.
As Corey cooks his dinner.
Yeah, I'm listening. I've been in a lot of situations with road rage. Try riding a bike and get cut off.
Right?
It's not fun.
Did I ever tell you about the time lady tried to run me into a garbage truck when I was on my motorcycle? Yep. Going down Euclid Avenue, just would have been east of 49th Street. And there was a garbage truck right there. And she come over 2 lanes to try and hit me and run me into that garbage truck. I ended up running up on the sidewalk. And it was one of those rare occasions where there happened to be a police officer right there. And I think he was probably going to ticket me for driving on the sidewalk until he figured out that she followed me up on the sidewalk and was trying to run me down. So he pulled her out of that car, and I don't know what this woman's problem was, but she hated motorcycles. She hated everything about them, the people that rode them, whatever. And she was bound and determined she was going to run me over. And he took her to jail. It was kind of a crazy experience.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, that was oh man, I was 18 years old or 19 years old at that point in time.
Crazy.
Would have been kind of insane if she'd actually got a hold of me. I mean,
That old LTD 440.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep,
Kasawaki.
that's how lucky that was for sure. She was driving a big old Buick, about a 1979. So,
Yeah, it's kind of feel prepared to.
oh
take
yeah,
on a
that was, she
big
would have
old
won
deal.
that fight. There was no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get out of the road there.
Yeah.
All right, so we got some news here, and let's see what we can come up with. And we just had a one in Waco, a food drive that the food bank dropped off a bunch of stuff. The Ohio Association of Food Banks, facing a statewide shortage, is asking the governor for $25 million. And I would bet that, I would hope that somebody would step up and give the food bank some money, especially at this point in time. I mean, people have been off work for almost a month now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, some people have.
Some people have been off almost a month. So, we feel for those people. I bet money's got to be getting pretty tight. So, the Ohio Emergency Food Assistance Network, made up of 12 food banks and some 3,000 member charities, they said their shelves are running dry. The shelves have been emptied by a surge in families. The Mid-Ohio Food Bank distributed 300,000 pounds more food in the past 2 weeks than this time last year. So there is a need. So I guess if you have the ability to donate some stuff, then, make sure you get it done. We're seeing people that already come to us come more frequently, and because of the nature of this outbreak, you're seeing people that may not have ever needed to visit a food bank or food pantry before coming to us as well, which is obviously to be expected. Laid-off workers are waiting in lines, sometimes for hours. We have cars queuing that are miles long. When they run out, they run out. I mean, it is what it is. More than a third of the food distributed statewide typically comes from industry donations, food manufacturers, and local food drives. as people continue hoarding food, Handler Fugit said the donations disappear. There are some issues out there, especially in the dairy industry. I've been reading up on that, where some of the major supply stores and producers are actually holding back production and causing farmers to dump some milk.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, your stuff like this is ripe for abuse, and you're going to see certain people, certain companies try and abuse it. It's unfortunate, and they should ought to be, they should be called to the floor on that. But you are going to see that. Hopefully, the dairy industry steps up. And one of the good things that comes out of this, especially from the dairy industry, I don't know if you folks out there know this or not, but it's not legal for you to purchase dairy products from your local farmer. It's kind of a redundant thing, I think, but maybe some education, some awareness about some of this kind of stuff that's out there will help this situation. So anyway, she wants an emergency appropriation of $25 million for food banks to purchase food, personal hygiene, and household cleaning items that SNAP benefits don't cover. We see about 200 households each week coming to the food pantry. Salvation Army area coordinator Major Deborah Ashcraft said the Salvation Army is also trying to supply a need Ashcraft have never seen in its central Ohio food pantries. The last 2 weeks, we averaged about 450 households. We anticipate that it's not going to decrease, but we're going to continue to see record numbers. We're asking that any employers that possibly can, please maintain your workforce. Please keep your workers on your payroll. That's going to take a lot of the burden off, and is really an unprecedented demand. And she goes on to say, look around your community, look next door, look 6 doors down. Make sure you're taking care of your family, your friends, your neighbors. Unfortunately, not so many people are lucky right now. Anyone who's lost their job can apply to SNAP benefits. The maximum benefit is around $200. You can apply by calling this number, or you can apply online following the link. Once again, guys, any article link is in the description. If you would like to help the Salvation Army restock its food pantries across the state, the organization has set up a registry at Walmart with a list of needed items. You don't even have to leave your house. Pay for the items online, and Walmart will deliver them to the Salvation Army. So if you're capable of doing that, please do so. We knew this was going to happen. Just a matter of time. I think this happened last week. Wow. Hundreds of customers fight over toilet paper in a Walmart store. We got 3 dead, 174 injured, and 213 arrests over toilet paper. I mean, I guess I could understand this if it was the last can of beans. But toilet paper? I mean, you still got running water. You can still wash your hind end if you need to.
Yeah.
People just don't think.
Columbus
Walmart stores left 3 people trampled to death and hundreds of injured after customer come to blows over toilet paper and pasta. Order several hundred panicked people literally stormed the Walmart store in Columbus this morning to stock up for the quarantine. Things rapidly turned violent as goods like toilet paper and spaghetti started running out only 10 minutes after the opening. Jim Thompson, one of the store's security guard who witnessed the whole scene, says dozens of fights broke out in less than a minute. Everyone was punching each other and rolling on each other with the carts. I saw a woman bite an old man and kick him repeatedly for 24 rolls of toilet paper. Come on, people. Mr. Thompson says that hundreds of bloodied customers were lying on the floor and dozens were still fighting when the Columbus Police Department crowd control unit arrived 15 minutes later. Wow. 3 people died, total of 174 others had to be transported to hospitals across the region, 23 of which are in critical conditions. 213 customers were arrested. In a brief press release, the CPD asked the population to remain calm and promised increased police presence in retail stores for the duration of the quarantine.
When was this? Does it say?
I don't exactly know. I think it doesn't really give me
28th.
a date on this article. April 1st, first comment, but it doesn't really give me a date for the article on there.
That's insane.
Yep.
I
Insanity.
can't think As of last night, the Walmart I went to had no TP, and as of today, the Kishman's here in Minerva also had no TP. So people are still freaking out for some reason.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to ask my wife if we've got enough. I don't know. We don't use a whole lot. We had a big box when all this started, so we were set for about a month, I think. But we'll see. Maybe we ought to invest in bidets. Is there a bidet stock out there? Is it listed on the Dow?
That was on a one hunting forum. The guy said said made the comment, I'm gonna call my broker and invest in American Standard. There's gonna be a run on bidets.
Yep.
For about $10, Base Hardware, you can make a redneck bidet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sink sprayer and a T.
Yep.
No. You know what? You know what? I would probably it would cost me a little bit more because I would run off the hot water tank. I would not run off the cold water tank.
Yeah, exactly.
I would run a new lineup. Man, there's something wrong with your mic, Corey.
A lot of static or what?
I don't know. It just went all crazy, like you were talking through an old CB or something. All right, so we got a couple articles on this March blowing past the record for gun background checks amid coronavirus pandemic. Got a couple different numbers. This one is showing the FBI ran more than 3.7 million background checks on Americans under the NICS in March. Little misleading. The FBI didn't run the background check. The FFL dealers did. And these stupid pop-ups. NICS system ran 3,740,688 background checks in March, 33% higher than a previous record of more than 2.8 million, which was set in February. The February numbers were 34% uptick from the same time in 2019. The NICS system has not run fewer than 2 million background checks in 1 month since September 2018. So if you do a little quick math, that's a ton of guns.
Yeah.
A ton of guns. And it goes on to say not all gun sales involve a background check, meaning the NICS numbers are not a direct indicator of total gun sales. Not all background checks involve a gun sale. Some states will run additional checks on permit holders, and checks are run for other reasons besides gun sales. So there were about 2.3 million background checks run in March directly connected to gun sales. And then we go on to this Bearing Arms article, and it asks, did 1 in 20 American households purchase a gun in response to the COVID-19 crisis? And it looks to be true.
Pretty darn close.
Now, we don't know how many people bought their second gun, their fourth gun, their 100th gun. Don't know that, but we do know that many people have bought guns. Newsy conducted a survey asking people if they'd purchased a firearm in response to the coronavirus pandemic. The survey is reported to have found 1 in 20 households purchased a gun with that reason in mind. Another 1 in 10 were said to be considered purchasing a gun for that reason. The survey showed many Americans have reacted to COVID-19 and uncertainty brought on by the pandemic by buying or thinking about buying guns. We've been getting a lot of questions about this and trying to really understand the mindset behind this. And I think the issue is two things. People were worried the last time that we had a buying panic that they wouldn't be able to get them in the future. And I think this is different because the people are generally concerned that they're going to need it.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
And I think in response, the reason they think they're going to need it, because in response,
You have
early on,
hundreds of people in Walmart fist fighting over toilet paper.
over toilet paper. The other thing, and where I think what really set this off was when, and if you kind of line up the dates, and I haven't done that, but I think if I remember correctly, when all of the police officers in New York City and Washington and Chicago started coming down with this, and they started massively quarantining a lot of their police force.
Police departments, fire departments, and you had multiple. They were just all over the news media and the internet and stuff like that. Multiple police departments literally telling people that huge percentages of their even 911 emergency calls were not going to be responded to because they weren't deemed necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they didn't have the manpower.
Or no manpower.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys out there know anything about Flint, Michigan, and the surrounding townships, there's a documentary on Netflix that you watch. I mean, there was a point in time when they were responding to, shots fired calls 48 hours later,
yeah.
because they didn't have the manpower. You got to look at the increased workload on ambulance calls and 911 calls and first responders and different things like that. So I think that's what's fueling this panic. And the other thing that's different about this one than the past ones is, in the past there was certain segments that were picked up and bought heavily. Semi-automatic rifles and handguns and the matching ammunition, 22 long rifle and semi-automatic platforms. Those were bought heavily, but a lot of the other stuff, the shotgun ammunition, hunting ammunition, stuff like that, was still available. What we're seeing now is it's all segments. I mean, it's hard to get shotgun ammo. It's hard to get 22 long rifle. It's hard to get hunting ammo. There's just so much stuff that's being bought up. Anything that can be used to defend yourself or your home is being bought at a rapid pace.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of that we've been saying it for years and, kind of teaching it, and there's a dozen Supreme Court cases against it that, you're responsible for your own safety. And I think when you have police departments telling people that, listen, we got people getting sick, we got all this stuff, we don't have any manpower, there's all this stuff
Really
stuff going
comes
on.
home to roost.
You now are, and even very, you hate to bring any kind of politics into anything like this, but even very liberal police departments that are notoriously liberal for years and years and years, literally telling people you might have to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's like
the thing is,
ding!
a citizen faces the same conflict that the police officer faces. The only difference is they face it before the police officer gets there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
we think of police officers, going around and facing these conflicts, but it's not really brought to light that, hey, the citizen faced that conflict before the first responder got there. The first responder is there to, either mitigate the situation or take a report or, make an arrest or something like that. They're pretty much coming in after the fact. And I'm not trying to take away anything from the first responders out there. I'm not. They do a great job, but you're going to see it before they're there. I mean, it's a very rare occasion that, an assault or shooting or robbery or a break-in happens with an officer standing right there. I mean, how many times do you see a car accident? The traffic's backed up for 3 miles and an ambulance is trying to get around the traffic to get to the car accident.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is reality.
Well, I don't think it helps much either. It's, and I know it some of it's unavoidable, because of the logistical supply lines that have a lot of places have broken down because there aren't enough truck drivers, or there aren't enough flights or to transport goods back and forth to people that need them. So there are shortages, and people just panic when they see a shortage,
Mhm.
even though it might rectify itself in 2 days,
Certainly.
So they're going to panic and go out and panic buy of stuff that they think they need, and they may not need it.
They may not.
Right.
In the midst of all of this, a Cleveland columnist tries to emotional blackmail to push gun control.
Yeah.
So right in the very thick of this, people are concerned for their safety, not only from a virus running around, but from dangers out in the world that have always been there and mitigated for the most part. This guy decides, hey, we're going to try and take away your right to defend yourself against an immediate threat during this particular situation. And I agree with the bearing arms argument. It's the laziest gun control argument there is. If you don't support restricting the right to keep and bear arms, you must be okay with murder. That's a nonsensical statement. It is a statement.
Ludicrous.
It is
absolutely ludicrous.
It is designed to warrant an emotional response from somebody who doesn't have all the facts.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a ton of that kind of stuff going around. Brent Larkin is the new op-ed entitled "Rejecting Gun Control is Akin to Condemning More Kids to Die." Once again, another statement purposely designed to warrant an emotional response. That argues opponents of gun control just don't care much about human life. Well, I would.
If you watch any kind of live or I'm going to say reality TV show that is filmed in a relatively live setting, you would understand that the value of human life is regarded heavily with people who own the guns and not by the criminals who employ the guns for crime.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing. I would argue that if you're a gun control supporter, you don't care about human.
No,
life.
you don't.
I mean, they're. I think both of them are a kind of a crappy argument to begin with. So anyway, the Bearing Arms article is pretty pointed and kind of nasty. He goes on to say, I think Brent Larkin should be locked in a room with the FBI crime stats for Colorado since 2013, when the state instituted universal background checks and has seen violent crime increase by 25% in ensuing years. After he studied the numbers, we can pass him the crime stats for Washington, which also put universal background check law into the book several years ago, and has seen crime rates continue to increase. Larkin wants politicians to watch an ad by gun control group. I want him to look at the facts, and the facts don't support his argument. People running our country have made a decision that will define them for the ages. To avoid angering the base, they will tolerate the slaughter of children in their classrooms. Once again, another opined statement that is designed to elicit an emotional response with no facts behind it. That's the reasonable conclusion one can draw from the refusal of President Donald Trump and a Republican-run Senate to offer nothing but insincere lip service to the mourning death toll from the mass murders in schools, places of worship, and other venues across the country. Well, I got news for you, Brent. The only thing that's going to stop a bad guy with a gun, and this is the old cliche statement, is a good guy standing in his way with a gun. It's hard to have a dialogue with someone who accuses you of tolerating the murder of children, and it really is. In Larkin's mind, the issue is so simple. If you want to protect children, you must support gun control. In the real world, however, we know that these types of horrific attacks on our kids have taken place even when an assault weapons ban was in place. Look at Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, his whole nonsensical statement, so this goes on to say, would Larkin accuse Evan Todd of not caring about his school kids? Todd doesn't support a gun ban or universal background checks. He must be okay with tolerating kids getting shot, right? Well, Todd was shot himself when he was a student at Columbine High School in 1999. So there's a lot of people out there that have taken this and gotten the facts behind it, and gotten kind of the real story over this kind of stuff. And the thing is, he goes on to say, I've got news for Larkin. Gun control advocates are spending more money than gun groups to push their agenda. Gun control is always outspending gun groups because you can't sway people with money on a lot of these issues.
No.
So we've got news for Larkin. Gun control advocates are spending more money than gun groups to push their agenda. Does that mean anyone taking Bloomberg bucks has been purchased by the anti-gun lobby and its acolytes? Or does it just mean that Larkin's argument is a cheap and ultimately unserious attempt to emotionally blackmail lawmakers, gun owners, and anybody else who doesn't think his proposed solutions are the answer to just go along with whatever anti-gun activists want? I'm going to vote for the latter, that it's a attempt to emotionally blackmail everybody.
Yeah.
I think there's no facts in the article. There's no sensible statements. There's nothing other than emotional rhetoric.
This is
And
my
that's,
opinion,
and that's when
that's all that matters.
That's been one of their key things is to.
Yeah.
So, in this, Radians is a personal protective equipment company, mainly known in the shooting sports. They donate N95 masks for COVID-19. Looks like they donated a bunch of them. Yep, manufacturer of personal protective equipment and quality safety eyewear and hearing protection for shooters and hunters, donated more than 14,000 N95 masks to first responders and medical facilities in Memphis, Tennessee. We're thankful for our first responders and glad that Radiance can lend a helping hand during a crisis, said Wes Miller, Director of Sales for Radiance Sporting Goods Channel. Radiance, which is based in Memphis, added the N95 respirator to its PPE portfolio in 2018. We knew that adding N95 respirators to our portfolio was important, said Radiance President Bill England. But with the COVID-19 pandemic, they've become a critical PPE item to help protect those with the highest risk of exposure. We're happy that Radiance is able to make this donation in our hometown. The masks are in such short supply nationwide that an LA Times story in March 25th indicated medical workers in Los Angeles were told to reuse them. And what's the name of that company that's washing them or cleaning them here in Ohio?
Bati.
And I guess they figured out a way to clean them so that they're good again, I guess.
Yeah, they figured out they've got a way to sterilize them.
Wall Street Journal warned a week beforehand that the shortage is nationwide, not just regional. Officers protecting and serving law-abiding citizens aren't immune. Radiance CEO Mike Tudor said the donation represents Radiance's corporate responsibility to help during the challenging times. With a worldwide shortage of respirator masks, we knew this donation would quickly assist first responders and healthcare workers as they help Memphis rise above the crisis. Respirators will also be of service at COVID-19 test sites. N95 masks are tighter fitting than surgical masks and provide more protection. Radiance is the latest in the long list of firearm companies joining the battle against this virus. So,
wherever the politicians will let them.
well, yeah, that's been kind of an ongoing thing, especially in New York State with Remington. They offer to make all kinds of stuff for nothing, and governor told them to stop. In all of this mess, Philly shop owners defend themselves against armed robbers. At least 2 business owners in Philadelphia defended themselves against armed robbers this weekend in separate incidents that left one suspect dead and the other with non-life-threatening injuries. ABC 6 reports that a would-be robber was shot and killed on Saturday after violating the city's stay-at-home order. And you know the law against robbing people, probably the more important of the two. The shooting happened just before 4:30 p.m. at the Starwear store at the 2700 block of Germantown Avenue. Police said the man was shot at least 5 times by an employee while he was trying to rob the store. Well, that
That's
sucks.
the threat.
Man was taken to the hospital and died a short time later. Well, that's kind of terrible because now the employee's got to deal with that, but at least his accuracy was good.
Yeah, there you go.
According to Fox 29, another would-be robber suffered a gunshot wound after trying to hold up a restaurant in the city's Wissahickon neighborhood over the weekend. Authorities say 16-year-old is in stable condition after he was shot by a pizza shop owner during an attempted robbery. According to police, the incident happened in the 5800 block of Thorisdale Avenue just after 10:30 p.m. The teen allegedly tried to rob the store at gunpoint when the owner shot him once in the top of the left hand. Police say the shop owner is legally authorized to carry a firearm. I wonder if it was more like bang,
Yeah, could be.
or if he shot him in the hand when he was reaching in the cat. I'd like to know more about that. Like, how do you shoot
Yeah.
the guy in the hand?
In the top of the hand.
There are reports that people focus on the weapon that's going to hurt them, so they predominantly shoot, and they do hit a lot of people in the hands. But
He could have been. The kid could have been like this. And
yeah, he
was-
could have been
and he
actually
pointed
had
out.
a good grip and hit
He
him.
pointed out and shot him in the.
Might
hand.
have. I'd like to know more about that, but unfortunately, we'll probably never know. Unfortunately, while crime is down in many cities at the moment, that doesn't mean it's stopped completely. Thankfully, both these store owners were able to protect themselves from the violent criminals intent on robbing them and their hard-earned money and possibly their lives. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Inquirer report that after Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw ordered a temporary stop to arrests for narcotics offenses, the city's drug makers are thriving.
Markets.
Hope Park in Kensington, the men dealing drugs along the chain link fence wore hospital masks. I guess that's where the N95s are going. The drug
Yeah,
dealers are
probably.
buying them all up. A short walk away near the Somerset Street L stop, the blocks were crowded with streams of young people in addiction, many of whom live in the mini encampments lining Kensington Avenue. Over on Allegheny Avenue, Reverend Liam Murphy watched as a man directed buyers down narrow Weymouth Street, barking at them to stay 6 feet away from him. There he is dealing in the business of death and trying to save himself from it, the priest said. I don't think the 6-foot rule is going to really help if you got 300 people lined up, is it?
Not really.
I mean, it doesn't seem real sensible to me. As the coronavirus pandemic has coursed through Philadelphia, the drug markets in Kensington haven't slowed. They've simply adapted. Residents already accustomed to living in the heart of the city's drug trade and violence that accompanies it fear that authorities have virtually halted drug enforcement, leaving corners crowded with dealers who don't even bother to hide because they don't think they'll end up in jail. Well, here's the thing. If you are a resident, if you got a cell phone, why don't you record these guys? Record them out a window or something like that. That way, at least when this is all over, you got video evidence of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Sadly, these dealers are probably correct. The Inquirer notes that since Outlaw ordered a change in arrest procedure, a total of 12 people have been arrested on charges of either possessing or selling drugs. First 2 weeks of March before Outlaw's order was given, the city arrested more than 400. The criminal feels emboldened in police presence or lack thereof. We're unfortunately going to see more crimes like this. I understand the argument for not wanting jails to be overcrowded during the coronavirus pandemic in order to limit its spread, but for the good people in some of Philly's worst neighborhoods, the cure may be indeed worse than the disease. Call me harsh, but I don't really care if the local drug dealer gets coronavirus. I mean, sorry. I mean, if you're dealing crack on the street corner, my empathy for you is gone.
Yeah.
I don't really care what happens to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, dude.
President Trump setting up a second task force. This one focused on reopening the economy. Second task force focused on reopening the economy, according to reports from the people familiar with the matter. Washington Post reported that 4 people speaking on condition of anonymity said the smaller task force will focus on identifying which businesses need to rebound in order for a lot of the country to be reopened by April 30th, the date that the White House current social distancing guidelines expire. I don't think this is really going to be gone by April 30th, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get the economy open by April 30th, maybe some of it, but I think there's still going to be large sections that are going to be down. Top administration officials, including the Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, and National Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow, will reportedly be part of the new task force. Officials from the private sector are also reported to be part of the new team. Unlike the large coronavirus task force led by Vice President Mike Pence, this group will not meet every day. They will most likely hold most of its meetings over the phone and give in-person briefings to the president, according to the Post. Two senior administration officials told the Post that Meadows will most likely lead the task force, but a decision has not yet been made. The announcement could come this week, but officials said there were plans to announce a second task force earlier this week that were delayed. Trump first hinted at the creation of a new task force on Saturday. In his tweet, he said Fox News anchor Deanna Perino's idea of creating a second task force to reopen the country was a good idea. When he was asked about the idea in his media briefing that day, Trump confirmed he was thinking about it, getting a group of people, and we have to open our country. You know, I had an expression, the cure can't be worse than the problem itself, Trump said. I started by saying that, and I continue to say it, the cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. We got to get our country open. Trump originally wanted to reopen the country on Easter Sunday, which falls on April 12th, which is 2 days from now. On March 29th, Trump extended the coronavirus safety guidelines through the month of April in an effort to mitigate the effects of the pandemic. The better you do, the faster this whole nightmare will end. House Republicans also hope to reopen the American economy by the end of April if progress has been made combating the coronavirus pandemic. Our focus is on locking down the virus while we're taking the steps now to prepare to reopen the economy by the end of the month if the virus permits, Texas Rep. Kevin Brady, the top Republican in the House Ways and Means Committee, told reporters on April 2nd, according to the Washington Examiner. Article originally appeared in the Western Journal. If they can get something done, it's safe to do so. It would probably be a welcome addition to a lot of folks out there. The key is, can it be done? I don't have any new products out there. There's some new products that, you know, we've been told about. You can't buy them, so we're really not focusing on those.
Yeah, I don't. You know, we can't buy any. We had people call about River 57s and Hellcats and things like that. It's like, you know,
When we were trying to get a Hellcat forever before.
yeah. So I told them, I said, you know, they were on allocation list way long time ago. You're probably not going to see any of the guns that have been supposedly quote unquote released until fall at the earliest.
Probably.
They're just trying to catch up.
940.
What's that?
Still waiting on that Mossberg 940 JM Pro.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I had a guy call about one of those the other day. No, they ain't not going to see it.
No.
Not till fall. Anyway.
They probably switched over production to all the staples that they know are going to sell, and the risk-taking stuff, new stuff, is probably by the wayside.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mossberg sent out a newsletter. They're only focusing on their tactical lines.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
They're not producing any Patriots right now. Everything's over to like the MVPs, their AR lines, and the tactical shotguns.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Well, we got a product of the week here real quick for you. If you can see these bad boys, magazine loaders. They make them in all different kind of shapes and sizes and different ways. This is a Glock brand. They tell you what.
And you got revolver.
Yeah.
Thumbs for a revolver.
These will save your thumbs on a long range day.
Yeah. You go to any high round count classes, and you spend, especially if you don't own, you know, you go to a class that's going to shoot 500 rounds even in a couple of days, and you don't own enough magazines to load 500 rounds at one time, like to take with you, you're going to be loading magazines all day.
You're going to be missing thumbnails and a lot of skin on your thumbs and your fingers.
Absolutely. Your thumbs will they'll just be sore and tired and beat up. And
well, God, I think I got 8 or 9 magazines for my Ruger, and when we took the armed security class, my thumbs were still sore and beat up, you know.
Yep.
And
Yeah, you got a high round count. Anything,
Yeah.
competition, class, shooting with your buddies for the weekend. These are going to save you. They're simple to use. They range in price from $5 to $50 for a good Maglula. So
yeah,
you know, check them out.
Them uploads are like the Cadillac of them,
Oh,
man.
yeah. They are absolutely Cadillac magazine loaders.
Yep. So,
Save your hind end. That's what we got for you folks out there. Everybody out in the audience, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being out there tonight. Could have been doing a lot of other different things, but you were here with us tonight. So stay safe. Enjoy your weekend.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, have a
Happy
nice
Easter.
Easter. Probably not going to be a lot of family get-togethers, but hopefully you guys enjoy it in any event. And we will see you next week.